Well, why don't we touch on what the Commanders are doing? And they're making moves, and I guess as expected, everyone that covers the team thinks it's pretty much expected that they bring back Wagner and Ertz in particular. Wagner's done.
Yep. Inks a 1-year deal.
I think it was like $8 million guaranteed, $9.5 million total.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard.
My only thought with that was originally that if you're going to move on from Wagner, it would be with Bond. But once Bond got signed by the Eagles, I didn't think there was anybody out there that they should really target for his position.
I think they were bringing back Wagner regardless, because just if nothing else, first of all, he is an impactful player.
Yeah.
He just has limited range, but definitely an impactful player.
Coach on the field.
He's a coach on the field and off the field, and all the players, just look up to him. The story that was widely reported about how he would go in on his off days to watch film, and he started doing that. He always does it, I guess. And he after week 1, then like all the rookies, and before you know it, like 3 or 4 weeks in, everybody's coming in on their off day to watch film.
Yeah.
Like that's the kind of tone. That's when you talk about culture.
Yeah.
And people like to ridicule that word. That's where culture matters.
And that's why Pete Carroll mentioned the fact
real.
Pete Carroll mentioned that he was a free agent when he was doing press like at the combine. Like that guy makes an impact in every locker
His
room he steps
reputation
in.
precedes himself. Yeah.
Guy's a winner.
So also, I know everyone wants to get younger at that position just because obviously Bobby Wagner has lost a step.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's just not what he was when he first came into the league. But I think middle linebacker is a very difficult position to play when you're young, because you got to know what the line's doing in front of you. You got to know your responsibilities. You got to know the responsibilities on the back end. So that position takes a lot of experience. You can't really just come into the league, learn for just a year, and then get plugged into that position.
Unless you're a freak.
Yeah, unless you're a freak.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of grooming.
Yeah.
A lot of grooming. It takes a vet to play that position.
I don't have a
he
problem
led the
with
team in tackles with 132.
Yeah.
He had 2 sacks, 4 pass breakups, a forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries. He produced on the field. He was second team All-Pro.
I know, it's crazy to me. I don't know why it jumps out at me the most. I always bring it up. Is he jumped out at me more often than not, blowing up like running backs on in like pass protection. He just would destroy these backs on his way to try to get to the quarterback.
Well, I mean, he should. I mean, he's been in the league forever, and he's usually tangling with a 205, 210-pound back.
He's just a tank.
He should dominate those dudes.
What is he, about 250 though? I would think
probably like 245, 250.
Yeah. But I mean, he is just a tank. So yeah,
and I'm sure Commanders fans are happy.
He's listed 6 feet, 241.
Yeah. So you get a leader back. I know. I think Jaden Daniels tweeted something. Let's go. He's excited. That we obviously know about their connection and relationship. So I think it's probably a key signing that they were able to get that done.
Definitely a good signing.
Especially when you know that guys like Pete Carroll are out there sniffing around.
Don't let that guy hit the market. Keep it in your locker room for 1 more year. He's a great influence on everybody in there.
Yeah. And he does it without an agent.
Yeah.
He negotiates his own deal.
Keeps that money in house.
Yeah, it saves 3 or 4%, whatever they charge.
Right. That adds up for sure.
Hell yeah.
By the way, this made my eyes perk up. If that's, I don't even know if that's a thing, but or ears. My ears perked up when I saw the news that Tutu Atwell from the Rams signed a 1-year, $10 million deal, wide receiver, which just emboldens my bet about De'Ami Brown.
I don't know his numbers.
They have remarkably similar numbers.
They were similar.
But Atwell didn't score any touchdowns last year. De'Ami scored 2, and he also scored in the playoffs. Like that just, I mean, that bet's a winner already.
Well, he could get a 1-year, $10 million deal.
De'Ami?
Yeah, he could.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I bet JP yesterday that it would be $7 million, and now I'm fully convinced that it's going to be.
I just didn't think it was going to be 3 years, $21 million.
It might not be, but his average annual value will be north of $7 million.
Yeah, you might be right.
I'm more
I find that
than
foolish for general managers around the league, but if they want to hand him that bag of money, then I'll hand you $5.
That's the market that we're stepping into.
Yeah, I think it's just the market. You got
the market dictates what these guys are making. Like Tutu Atwell he's a fine player, but he's like at best a third wide receiver, gadgety type of guy. I mean, he signs a 1-year deal with the Rams for $10 million. That's kind of your new market for third and fourth wideouts in the NFL in 2025.
You can take Christian Kirk off the board because he
Christian Kirk
got dealt
for a 7th round pick
to Houston for a 7th rounder. Yep.
Makes me almost feel like the Commanders overspent on Deebo Samuel at this point. But still, good value for the 5th round for Deebo. But the Jags were busy yesterday. They dealt Kirk. They got rid of Evan Ingram.
Yep.
They've got a fresh-faced. I think their new GM is 34 years old.
Yeah, I saw
34.
Yeah.
And he's
making all kinds of moves.
He's just going in with the axe and reshaping that team at this point.
Are you surprised they re-signed the Commanders, Zane Gonzalez?
A little bit.
You wanted them to move on from Zane.
I thought
Seibert was the best.
I think Seibert is a little bit more accurate, but he's got that short, nubby leg.
Yeah, he doesn't have the strength.
Takes his leg.
I just feel like you're punting a little bit by signing Gonzalez.
Dude,
I feel like that's a punt move.
Well, I mean, they could bring somebody else.
He's been around for a long time. I mean, he played like 60, 70 games, something like
69 games in his career. He's made 80% of his field goal attempts.
Thought he was decent. He had a few moments where he hurt us.
80%
but overall,
sounds very low.
It does.
That's like 80%. No, it doesn't sound really low. That is really low.
Right.
Well, safe to say he's not going to be the kicker for the entire year.
I don't know.
I mean, they
signed
him 1 year deal.
That's fine. They can bring somebody else
minimum. He got a league minimum deal.
Nubs.
Yeah, it's nothing.
He got Nubs money.
So they cut him at any
Bring
time.
in somebody to compete with him.
But
see if you can find somebody better.
If he has a bad first 2 weeks, he's done.
But
so they've signed 2 out of their 28 guys, right? Wagner,
Gonzalez.
and Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Am I missing anybody?
I don't believe
We went through that list of 28 guys.
No,
I mean, the most notable guys that are out there via free agency, if they don't sign them before Monday, are Zach Ertz, Dante Fowler Jr., all the receivers that we've talked about, Marcus Mariota.
I think that's it.
Those are the notables.
I actually really want them to bring Ertz back. He's just such a security blanket.
Yeah,
the longer I get away from it, the more I'm like, yeah, I want to bring that guy back.
Part of me wants to bring him back, but part of me wants to see Sinnott get a bigger shot.
Well, they could still do both. You could do both. Bring it back.
I don't know. Can they? Can they do both? They didn't do it last year.
Yeah, but you could say, hey, want you more of like a leadership role this year? We're gonna split your reps.
Let's hope that's the case. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him more involved in the offense, more than having 5 catches.
When we rank the importance of each of the players 1 to 10, and we put the averages together, Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz were tied for the greatest importance. Once you eliminated Tress Way, these guys gave 10s
My importance was a 1 for him. They're going to resign him, and also he's a punter. He's a bottom 2 or 3 position importance.
One of the best. One of the best 5 punters.
He's one of the best.
I understand he's great. He's a Pro Bowler, but when you rank all of the positions on the team, punter and kicker and special team wedge breaker, if that's even a thing anymore, are at the bottom.
I don't know.
We'll agree
your
to
fantasy
disagree.
brain is just so poisoned that you don't like kickers.
So
I think kickers are important.
Punters, who would rank?
That's not how we
NFL.
graded the
free agents. It doesn't matter. You need a punter, so you have a Pro Bowl punter.
Understood. Every team has a punter. I get that.
Yeah.
But where do they rank in teams in terms of importance as far as positions?
Well, you're
on your
clearly
roster?
right, but that's not how we ranked the free agents. That's not how we did it.
Way down the list, Cakes.
Yeah,
way down the list.
Yeah.
He asked 1 to 10. How important is it to?
I'm talking bigger
individually.
Picture. I'm not talking about just free agents. I'm talking if you're crafting a roster in the NFL and you rank position importance, where does punter rank?
Right.
My position is it's toward the bottom.
Way
if not
towards
the bottom.
Yes, and my position with the Tress Way answer, you guys gave it a 10, is I'd be much lower because you could find somebody else and the difference isn't that great. I know that people like him. He's been one of the team leaders.
He's an awesome guy.
Great guy.
Just takes
hunters are a dime a dozen.
He's not going to cost a bunch of money.
Yeah, it's just
why
going
not
to take
keep him?
A shank in the wrong moment for you to lament getting rid of him.
I don't know.
Right,
I don't think so.
By the way, he's been an All-Pro. He has a couple times, but it's not like he was 5 yards better than everybody else in the league. He wasn't.
No, his strength is pinning other teams inside the 20. That's his strength.
Hey, you know what else? He's less important now because Jaden is so silly. They don't punt as often.
Yeah,
makes him even less important.
He had multiple games without a punt.
In years past, when the offense is terrible and you had a Jag quarterback walking through the door every few weeks, then he was much more important.
Let's just see what happens.
I oddly think re-signing Mariota is kind of a big deal.
I like it too.
They were fortunate last year that Jaden's injury wasn't so serious.
Right.
But there was a scare. Actually, a couple of scares with Jaden. And that was what everybody feared heading into the season, is that Jaden has that slim frame. He's going to take some hits and he's going to miss time. Ultimately, he didn't miss any time, significant time. But when Mariota had to fill in, he was really good.
And again, I know you diminish it. I like the off the field relationship and the mentoring and all that. I just think it's important.
No, I'm not saying it's not important. I just don't think it's most important.
Yeah, well, it's an aspect that I like, and so I hope they bring Mariota.
It's kind of funny how he's had a glow up, because when he was with Atlanta, he basically went AWOL on his team.
Yeah,
and there were question marks about him, and now he's being hyped up as this great off the field guy.
Great locker room guy.
He's got a great relationship, obviously, with Jaden and Dan Quinn and the coaching staff. They realize
maybe he matured, Cakes.
Maybe.
Well, certain players just fit better in other situations.
And maybe he had like an anxiety thing or something. Was his wife pregnant or something? Was something weird going on?
I think it was some sort of family issue thing. I don't know all of the details.
Maybe it was actually valid.
Could be.
Instead of us just mocking him.
I'm not privy to all those details, OEB.
I know, but whenever you saw him speak, he seemed like a classy dude.
Seemed like a stand-up dude.
Yeah. And the what we could see from afar in his interactions with Jaden and how Jaden reacted to him when he was on the field, it seemed like they had a special relationship.
Well,
so I would like to bring him back too.
He made himself multiple millions when he filled in with Jaden Daniels.
Oh yeah.
When Jaden was out of the games, he performed well.
He did.
Kind of surprised. Other teams take notice.
Kind of
surprised
everybody.
Yeah. He's the perfect guy to have in a 3 or 4 game stretch if your quarterback goes down.
It's a system he's comfortable with.
Right.
And I'm kind of with Cakes, even though I think it was Drab that pointed out, maybe JP, that Dante Fowler had like 2 sacks in the last 10 games. At the end of the day, he had 10 sacks or whatever he had.
Thank you.
I still would like to have the 10 sacks in the bank.
I am not the guy who looks at if a receiver has a monster day and has 160 yards receiving, and one of those is like an 80-yard catch. I don't say, if you take away that 80-yard catch, he only had 80 yards receiving. Mm-hmm. You're not taking away the 80-yard catch.
He was barely on the field in the second half of the season. The playoffs.
Maybe he had some health issues that were slowing him down.
Maybe he wasn't racking up sacks against the Giants, and the stats weren't inflated.
I'm kind of with
you call it what you want.
Listen, I said that during the year. I remember saying, where's Dante Fowler? I feel like we don't see it. We're not hearing Dante Fowler's name. But at the end of the day, it's hard to replace 10 sacks. So,
bring it back.
I wouldn't mind bringing him back.
Bring it back for 1 year.
But, sometimes the analytics aren't kind to somebody like Dante Fowler Jr. against the run. And that was probably a much bigger problem than their statistics against the pass.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes it goes hand in hand as complementary football. I understand that, but
you
kept hearing about keeping the edge.
Setting the edge, yeah. What?
You also have to take into consideration that was a career year for him. So you're going to pay him off that. I mean, he averages usually about 5 sacks a year.
I would assume he doesn't get a boatload of money. Get an increase.
Actually, his career year was 11.5 sacks back in 2019.
Okay, but his average is about 5.5 sacks a year.
Yeah, before this, he had 3, 4.5, 6, and 4 heading into the season.
Look, I'm not saying he's special. I'm just saying we got nobody. We don't got anybody.
Yeah, you can't just ball up a 10-sack guy and throw him away and replicate one out of thin air. If you have a better solution, Drab, I'd like to hear it.
Well, Adam Peters is going to be probably very active on Monday.
He definitely will.
As if they haven't already. But on Monday, you're going to get some announcements.
He's going to be very active over the weekend.
Yes.
Preparing for Monday.
When they're doing all their wink deals.
Yeah, Monday, we're going to start hearing about all these deals that don't become official until Wednesday.
Which big name guys are still out there that we could potentially jump in on that we've talked about? I mean, there's been no resolution on the Myles Garrett thing, right? That doesn't seem like that's going anywhere. What other?
Yeah, all those guys.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. I mean, Devontae Adams is out there now. DK Metcalf wants to be traded. All these different people. I don't think the Commanders will be in on any of those.
I can't keep track of it all.
It's not that hard. I mean, those are the big names. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about the big names.
The guys for Philly, the Josh Sweats.
Trey Hendrickson wants a trade out.
Trey Hendrickson wants a trade.
That guy's had 17.5 sacks each of the last 2 seasons.
Oh.
I mean, that gets you horny.
He's worth it.
I mean, almost 20 sacks in back-to-back seasons.
Why does he want to go? What's his deal?
Because they have to pay. They have to pay all those other donks like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Yeah, he knows his
Joe Burrow.
Right, dude. He might be the number one target.
He's sexy. I mean,
but he's requesting a trade though.
Requesting a trade. Yeah.
Oh,
look, remember Adam Peters at the scouting combine said that they wanted to prioritize their free agents.
Right.
So Bobby Wagner and Zane Gonzalez are the first two. Expect for
that's
more
fine.
to be signed.
He can say that, but when a guy comes available like Hendrickson, who's ultra productive, and I don't even think he's 30 yet. I think he's 29.
Yeah, he is young.
You have to rejuggle your priorities.
Yeah, but you got to trade for him.
Sure.
How many picks does this team have left? We know that they don't have the 4th and 5th rounder. That guy's not going to be cheap. You think Dante Fowler's?
Well, to get him, you have to trade at least a first rounder and probably one other pick.
Right.
He
may not be willing to do that.
But when they say they're looking at their own free agents first, it's because they can talk to them first.
Right.
They're looking at all kinds of free agents.
Of course.
Believe me.
I was listening to our guy who was on last night when I was driving around. What's his name? Linnell. And Linnell was saying that they're saying that the compensation for DK is first and a third. Now DK's great.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it would be that much with what does he have? 1 year left on his contract? How much time does he have left on his contract?
I think he has 1 year left.
I thought it would be a little bit lower.
He's still a premier receiver.
Oh, I'm not saying he's not. Just when Debo goes for a 5th, you're gonna get him. I mean, I'm saying he's better than Debo, obviously, but first
he's a little older.
Yeah,
Debo's a little older.
Yeah,
it'll be
interesting. That rules it out.
Monday morning, we'll be giving you all of the news in free agency, and then, of course, all next week. The funny thing about free agency is you wait all that time, and then Monday is the legal tampering period, and Wednesday is when they make it official. And by like Friday, it's all over.
Well, by Friday, you're
picking
through the scraps.
Yes.
Yeah, the real big names
That's
go
when
off
you
the
sign
board.
the Oz, the Kiases of the world.
That's when Noah Browns of the world become available.